Hello friends, it's Tim here from Mario Mayhem, here to bring you some more game hacking action. Super Mario Bros. 3 is one of those rare classic games that you can just play over and over again and still discover something cool that you may have missed before. It's definitely a fan favourite and for good reason. The overworld map, the power-ups, the boss battles, everything about it is just about perfect. I have already briefly covered this game in one of my earlier videos, but I barely gave it justice to the massive amount of Game Genie codes for this game that alter the playstyle in one way, shape, form or another. So I decided to do a quick dive back into this classic NES game to see what mischief we can cause with a few of what I think are the best power-up Game Genie codes for Super Mario Bros. 3. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's go with some of the greatest power-up Game Genie cheats for one of the greatest Nintendo games ever made. On with the show. So where do we start? Well, the first two-line code AEOSSZPA plus TAOZTGAA is pretty rad. When you use this code, you can change into Sledgehammer Mario if you fall off the screen and die. This is pure mayhem. Whoever heard of a cheat code where you die and actually get a bonus for it? When you get back to the map screen, you will now have the power-up. The Sledgehammer power-up is pretty rare in this game, so to simply be able to add this code and fall in a pit to access it is pretty sweet if you ask me. Even if you fall down a pit again, you still come back to the map screen as Sledgehammer Mario, so you can't really lose. However, if you don't want the hassle of falling down a pit, you can try the code TEUXKGAA, and you start the game off immediately as Sledgehammer Mario from the get-go. So take that, World 1, you just got sledgehammered. There are more codes to start the game with other power-ups too, like the code IEUXKGAA, which starts the game off with Mario being in the Tanuki suit when you start a new game. So now you can fly above the competition or turn into a statue right in the first level. There are also codes for starting as Fire, Raccoon or even Frog Mario available too, but there isn't much to say about them other than the obvious fact that you will start the game as that power-up. We can also use the code LEUXKGAA to start the game off as Raccoon Mario, and also add in AANZKLLA. With this second code, now you can just hold down the B button to start raising your P meter, meaning you can just fly from a standing start. Who needs a P-wing when you can just use this code and fly all over World 1 without any problems at all? There are also cool codes like OUKXGLIE, which not only starts you in the game as Frog Mario, but even if you get hit you will still stay as Frog Mario. I'm not sure that this is all that helpful in the first level, but it's still a pretty cool code. But this essentially makes you invincible, as you can just run into any enemy you want without dying or losing your power-up. Even if you fall down a pit, you will go back to the map screen still in the frog suit. The downside is you can never change from this suit, so even if you get a leaf you are still stuck as the frog. But I think seeing Mario bounce off at the end screen, at the end of the level, is a reasonable trade-off. There are more codes to start and stay as a certain power-up, but again there isn't much to say about them except they exist and they are pretty awesome. The next code we will take a look at is SZKIKXSE, and it is a little bit of a weird one. With this in play, anytime you get an item taking you from Big Mario to some other transformation, you actually become invincible. But this isn't your usual star invincibility power-up. With this code you just simply stay as your power-up even when you hit a Goomba or a Koopa Trooper or whatever. It is a little bit like the previous code, but at least in this one you have to kinda work your way up to that power-up. It's a pretty neat cheat, but probably not as cool as some of our previous ones. If you want to make your life a little bit more complicated for yourself, you can try the two-line code AEOSSZPA plus IAOZTGAA. This time the power-up is a little bit harder to obtain, but not by much. When you have this code in place, all you have to do is fall into a pit, and then when you re-enter the map screen, Mario will now have the Tanuki suit on. I think it's pretty sweet if you ask me. In this next clip I'm using the Game Genie code VXKXGLIE, which is super weird again. Not only is Super Mario a weird grey sprite, but it also makes Mario invincible from the get-go. It's like you are on a different plane to your enemies, as you can just walk through them without any problems. You can never get hit, but you can still stomp on enemies. This seems to make Mario like he's some kind of stone, because Koopa Troopers simply die in one hit instead of usually being able to jump on them and then kick their shell. Any power-ups you get have no effect either. This is a bit of a strange code, but it's also kinda cool, I think. This next code, OOLLLL, isn't really a power-up code as such, but more of a glitch. But it is still pretty entertaining. When you start the game, everything seems normal, but when you try and enter a level, you are taken back to the map screen, and Super Mario starts spinning around and around like he is wound up like a spinning top. It's not super helpful, but I just wanted to include this fun cheat. If you want to crush the game from the get-go, try the code VAVUXVSE. This will give you not only invincibility without having a star, but also most enemies will kind of home in on you for some reason. Goombas and Koopas will follow you around like you have a bad smell or something. It's a bit of a strange code, but it can be super helpful, even if not a conventional power-up code. Moving on, there is another interesting code simply named God Mode for Super Mario Bros. 3. If you use the Game Genie code SXZSKX, you get some pretty strange effects. Whenever you collide with an enemy, the sound that normally plays when you die plays, but you keep on living? The background music of the level stops playing, and you can continue on like nothing ever happened, but it's kinda eerie. So I made it a sport to see how many times I could die without dying without touching the ground. So see if you can beat 4 in a row. That was my record. And the last code we will look at is the classic KKKZSPIU. When you use this debug code, not only is your inventory full to the brim with all items, plus 2 rows of P-Wings, but you can actually press select inside the level to cycle through different power-ups. Now you can be whatever type of Mario you want to be whenever you want to be it. There is even a glitched version of the Goomba shoe in this list by pressing up and the select button at the same time. But you never know what the shoe will look like, including a messed up Super Mario or Luigi sprite. Now you can hop on yourself or Luigi at any time you like, I guess. There are even more awesome Super Mario Bros. 3 Game Genie cheats to explore apart from these power-up codes, so if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of them, then be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make a comment down below, so I know if you guys enjoy this classic NES game. Also, why not check out some of my other videos? You may just enjoy them too. And with all that said, I'll catch you in the next one, my friends.